Right. So our application this year, just move these little bars around here. We started just with this updates page that walks you through the changes that we made and also our new reallocation process. So changes, we added some fiscal assurances. We added this equity assurance that is a new federal requirement. We added an option to waive your IDEA funds, and that'll go to our reallocation process. So I will talk about that in a minute, along with the reallocation criteria. We updated the fiscal risk assessment. We got rid of that terrible question that penalized people for applying for funds. That was so terrible. So got rid of that. And then we updated the FAPE assurances to make them a little more IDEA specific. And again, that ties into the reallocation process. And then we also have a one-time only collection or tab for some special education director information. This was, excuse me, from our program team. They sent out so many different things this year. They didn't want to send out another questionnaire for you guys to fill out. So we put it on here for them, but you probably will not see this again. So really quick to walk through our new reallocation process. I think in the past, many of you worked with James Fouch, and I think that when it came time to accept IDEA awards or waive them, you would just be able to email him, say, hey, we don't want our IDEA funds this year, and then he would just flow those through to everybody else. And there's some relatively new federal guidance that we wanted to make sure our policies are a little more in line with. So the new process is everybody's going to fill out the application, because this also includes your FAPE assurances, which if you want to reallocate your funds, waive your funds, we need to make sure that you're still providing FAPE for your kids. So this is how we can help, or how we can do that. So first you establish you're meeting all of the elements of FAPE. Then when you are on the signature tab, I'll show this again later, but we can go look at it now. There is this acceptance of funds, and you can say, no, the LEA is meeting the FAPE requirement and will waive their IDEA award. Go back here. And then once you've waived that award, our team will reach out to you just to make sure that that's making the selection that you wanted to on that one. And then those funds will still be flowed through to you on October 1, but you just don't obligate them. If you don't want to use any of those funds, you just leave them unobligated, let them sit in your EGUMS, your account. And then near the end of the following award year, so this 2023 funds will flow through on October 1st. And then next July or June, we will reach back out to you when the application for next year is going out. And we'll just confirm that all those funds that you left unobligated, you still don't want to use them. And then we will take them back and reallocate them to other districts. So even if you don't want your award or to use your award, you'll still have access to it. And then we'll just, check in with you at the end, and then we'll take it back and reallocate it at the end of the year. So definitely, if you have any questions about that process as the year goes on, feel free to reach out to us at any time. But it might look a little bit different just having that money there, even if you don't want to use it. So then the other part of the process that we had to update is the funds that to be reallocated if you wanted to receive those funds. In the past, the awards that were rejected or waived from districts would then just be distributed amongst all of the districts. But the requirement in the statute says that In order to receive these funds, the district must not be providing adequate special education and services. So that is not FAPE. You still have to provide your free and appropriate public education. But if you need extra money, those extra funds, we just have to establish there's a need for them. So, your services could be better if you had more specialized experts, or you needed, new equipment or whatever it is. So that goes to on the signature page, the reallocation funds criteria. So on this one, if you wanted to receive extra funds, you would say, yes, we will accept the IDEA award and we'll request additional reallocated funds. And then you would go to this one and find some criteria that your district meets. So, if you need more assistive technology or you're lacking experts, and this isn't going to affect your fiscal risk at all. This isn't going to, cause any red flags for us. This is just to establish a need for that additional funding. And so at the end of the, next June, July, when we reallocate funds, only the districts who have chosen to receive reallocated funds will receive them. If you don't want any of that extra funding, it's often not a huge amount, it's usually pretty small, and you don't want to deal with any of that. Great, just click, that you are accepting your award and don't want any additional funds. So this process is a little bit squirrely, and also maybe I'm a little bit squirrely when I describe it. So if you have any questions about it, reach out. We are always happy to chat with you guys. So getting started then on our application, I just filled in Beaverton here. So thank you, Beaverton, for being our I can't think of the word. I'm saying expert. That's not the right one. Our example. That's what I'm looking for. So on this page where your estimates are, but when this application went out, we had just gotten our estimates and didn't have time to run our numbers to give you guys your allocation estimates. So this is all last year's award, and then we will be updating. We'll send out the updated award information when we have it. On this contact information tab is the same as it's been. This will, auto-populate with the information that we have on file. If there's anything that has changed, there's a lot of turnover. Please fill this out so that we can update our records and make sure that all of the, communications that need to be sent out are getting to the right people. This equity assurances is the new tab based off of a GEPA provision. These 4 questions describing your entity's existing mission policies, all of that. All of those questions need to be addressed. And so whether you do it individually, question 1 and answer it, or you just write a single narrative, either way is fine, just as long as you hit each point. Alex, is your hand up?
Yeah, sorry. I was going back to the contact information. If a school district doesn't select, like you selected Beaverton for the example, if they don't select something, this information will not auto-populate, correct?
Yeah, so like if you don't have anything in that, if you don't click anything on that drop down, your whole application will be empty. So just want to make sure that you are selecting your district when you go through here. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah, no, just want to make sure we were all tracking that. Thank you.
Yeah. So then the next tab is the MOE tab. This looks the same as always. These total amounts here come from your validated expenditure data that you submit to the Department of Education. We use that to complete this section. This per capita is based on your December 1 child count. From this year, it's the 21-22 number. And you'll get your same boxes here, met with exceptions, met, not met, whatever it is. And And this year, we've been talking a lot about exceptions and trainings and in emails with different districts, so I can run through those really quick. And as always, reach out if you have any questions. So for our first exception, it is the Department of Voluntary Departure of Personnel. And so that would be anybody who's leaving voluntarily, you know, moving, retiring, whatever it is. But it does not include any reduction in force. So if you have to change some staff because of budgeting issues or whatever it is, unfortunately, those staff departures don't qualify for this exception. And definitely reach out, because there are some circumstances where it gets kind of funny, like if somebody moves within the district to a new position, it can all get a little bit kind of gray in that area. So we're definitely happy to talk through that with you. Exception B, this is your decrease in child count. That's calculated for you automatically, comparing your 2021 to your 21-22 December 1 child count. And then that is calculated as a percentage, which is then applied as a percentage reduction to your maintenance of effort. This exception C is for any termination of the obligation for any costly programs. So that's like one-to-one nurses. You know, if you have a student who's in an inpatient program or a day program, whatever it is, if that student either graduates or moves districts, or, you know, they meet with the IEP team and they don't need that service anymore, then that costly program can fall under this exception. And that our state's threshold for costly program is $5,000. So I would say that's quite a bit lower than a lot of other states, but we really want to make sure that our threshold makes sense for our districts and for the different sizes of districts that we have. And, you know, $5,000 is a much different number in a really small district with, you know, 20 students versus like Beaverton, where there's this many. So if you have a program that fits under there, or you're unsure if it fits under there, give us a call, send us an email, happy to help you out. And then exception D is termination of costly expenditures for long-term purchases. This would, so if you have a school project that you've been building something over the last 3 years, and year 1, it was 100,000, year 2 it was 80,000, and then year 3 it was 50,000, and that was your final year, that exception would just be for that 50,000. It would just be comparing that previous year's total spent on that project. So again, that one can be kind of, we don't see a lot of that, but if you have any questions about it, give us a call. And then exception E is the high cost fund, but we don't run, our state runs ours through state dollars rather than IDEA dollars. So that one doesn't apply to us.
Internet is working.
Yay. So then this fiscal assurances tab, that has been updated this year kind of substantially. The first change here will be where you are asked to input your budget. So in order to be eligible for maintenance or for IDEA funds, you need to budget at least as much as you spent in the previous year. So here, you know, Beaverton needs to budget $65 million at least. So if they put in 64, that would not
back up.
That would not be enough. But if they put in, no, that's not right. I can't. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 66 million, then it would turn green, and then you would see that you have met that budgeting requirement and you will be eligible on that budget piece there. Then you will, on this one, select if your district was identified as significantly disproportionate. There are not many districts, yay, that have been. And if you are unsure, send us an email and we will get you that information. And if you are identified as significantly disproportionate, you have this mandatory CCEIS budget that'll be 15% of your total budget must be put towards CCEIS. If you are not met as significantly disproportionate and you want to set aside a budget for CEIS, this can be up to 15%. So you don't have to do that, but if you would like to, let us know how much you are budgeting, and we'll just confirm that it's not more than 15%, and that'll be good to go. And then additionally, we are asking for a brief budget narrative. So, we don't need a line by line, this much on salaries, this much on equipment, that kind of thing. But, if you can just tell us how your budget is being used, compared to the previous year, say you increased your staff because you had an increase in number of students, so you're using these services now. Just so that, if you're thinking about it from our standpoint, if we're looking at somebody that we might need to go monitor, or we just want to, kind of get a feel for a district's risk in what they're doing with their students, that we would be able to read your budget and kind of have an idea of like, oh, this is what they're doing with their dollars in their district. And, it just gives us a sense of where the IDEA dollars and your state dollars are being used. These assurances are the same as they have been. Budget meets MOE, the maintenance of effort standard, the eligibility standard, that'll be here. If it's green, you've met. If it's red, you haven't, and we should talk about it. These are your fiscal controls here. This is the excess cost requirement, and that you are using the proper accounting procedures to, track federal funds separately, that kind of thing. And that is just a, yes, we are able to do this consistent with the requirements, or no, we don't. If you, don't have the software, the tracking, or whatever it is, and you're not able to mark yes on that, we'll reach out to you and see how we can get that figured out. CEIS, like we talked about above, this is not required, it's an option. And so we just are checking here to checking for understanding. We're just making sure that there's the assurance that everyone understands that the CEIS cap is 15% of your IDEA award, not greater than 15%. And I believe I misspoke. I think I said up here that your CEISs cannot be 15% of, or cannot go above 50% of this budget, but this is your state budget. So I apologize. CEIS cannot be greater than 15% of your IDEA award, your IDEA budget. Time and effort reporting. This one is, we have had a few more questions about this year. So it asks about a substitute/alternate system. So that the time and effort substitute system is the semi-annual report. A lot of districts might be familiar with this from Title I, Title I. That would be every 6 months, your staff who are can be paid for multiple federal awards or multiple cost objectives and have a fixed schedule. They're not coming in randomly. They can use the semi-annual report. Other than that, it's the PAR, the monthly report. And if you are using the semi-annual report every 6 months, you should attach that with your application, or we will reach out to you to take a look at that just to make sure it's meeting the standards that is required. And if you are unsure, or if this is something that you haven't done for IDEA before, you've only been doing it for Title I, let us know and we can help you get that started, because that is something that is required. But I think that there's just been a lot of confusion in the past about which federal awards that applies to. For your funding elections, so your regional programs, you have the option to retain those IDEA funds for your own district and provide those services, or you can have the state keep them and we will provide the regional services. If you choose to retain your funds to provide those services, our Part C lead, Kara Williams, will reach out to you and just make sure that you guys have everything squared away on that end. Same thing for the Oregon School for the Deaf, oh my goodness, and the LTCT funding. You're able to withhold that yourself to provide those services, or you can have the state keep those IDEA funds and provide the services. The FAPE assurances, these are the same assurances we've updated. We've just verified that all the language is correct and kind of up to date. That you need to ensure that you are meeting if you are, well, everybody needs to be providing FAPE. And so if you're not able to meet one of these criteria, we will definitely reach out. We'll figure it out so that we can help you get there. And particularly if you want to have your funds reallocated, you need to be meeting all the FAPE requirements. So we ask that all of our districts read through these carefully this year. I think in the past, these were all in one big piece that at the very end you would say, yes, we can assure this, or no, we can't. But we wanted to separate them just to make sure that if districts are choosing to reallocate their funds or to waive their funds, that they're still meeting FAPE and that they know what FAPE really means, what the requirements around FAPE are. For program and data assurances, this is kind of what we've had in the past, just that you are keeping up your timelines, that you have methods and processes and procedures in place. Use of public benefits, this has the same as before. Yes, you can assure you will comply with this, or no, you're unsure. Other policies, these are kind of have to do with accessibility often, so sign language interpreters, assessments, just kind of an array of different policies. And again, if this is one you're unsure about, if you check no, we'll reach out to you and we will make sure that we can help get you there, just kind of see what's going on that you can't. Our goal, our hope is that our districts, even if it's not the best, most perfect choice, that you guys are honest with us. And, our goal is really to support our districts so that you guys can support students. So, we're never trying to be in like a gotcha situation. We really just want to make sure that everybody is meeting these requirements so that students are able to get the services that they need. The last question here then is the NEMAS, the instructional, accessible instructional materials. Charter schools, this tab is the same as well. So this will come up here with the charter schools that we already have on file for your district. We know that charter schools open and close kind of frequently. So if you have had one that opens, or if you've had one that closes here, let us know. We'll update our records on that. Private school assurances, this kind of assuring that if a student is placed in a private school, that they will get the services that they would get in a public school. If the child is placed in a private school by their parents, then that child is entitled to equitable services, but not individual services. If you have any questions about that, I'm going to say this a million times today, reach out to us and we will help you make sure we're all on the same page about that. Here is the fiscal risk. A few of these questions were updated from last year. Like I said, we got rid of that awful question. But most of these questions you've seen before. One of them, not timeliness of claims, on time and accurate data. So that on the next tab, it has late and accurate submissions. So that is collected from that information comes from our data collections on our data team. Also includes your excess cost report, whether it was on time or inaccurate. If something is inaccurate, it often means that a collection had to be reopened to correct something. And this is just, yeah, something we keep track of as far as fiscal risk goes. Things that are late or inaccurate, they just kind of provide or create more risk for finances. So we just want to make sure that if a district is having any kind of risky things come up, that we're able to support you guys so that, things, you can support your students. We don't get in trouble with the feds. That's also important to us, is so that we can keep getting our IDA money to give to you guys. We have to meet those requirements too. So then, that's that late and accurate tab. And then this last page is the signatures, where, again, this is the acceptance of funds. So accept and not request additional funds, accept and request, and then we'd like to waive our funds. And then if you would like to receive those reallocated funds, choose one of these criteria. If you are not looking to get any of those extra reallocated funds, you just select this last one, not be requesting. Do your typical signatures, ensuring that if you are using an electronic signature, by just having somebody type their name here, that you are confirming that they consent to the electronic signature. Otherwise, you can take a PDF signature and submit it along with this. And then this final tab, this is that SPED director information that is this one-time only thing. So filling it out if you have a new SPED director, different years, fill in that information. Our team won't be following up on if there is anything that needs further information. Jennifer Eklund-Smith from our program team, she will reach out to you and just make sure that everything is squared away there. So that is our application. I maybe went a little fast here. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording, and then we can go through any questions as well.